Open your medical emergency kit, match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet, and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will be joined here shortly with our special guest who joins me every other Wednesday. I know we had to push last Wednesday because of my travels to Memphis for Worldview Weekend event. But before we bring him on, let me do what I always do. We are live on worldviewtube.com, also Rumble and X account of WorldviewTube, and also on our app. And if you do not have the app, no worries. It is for free. You can access it through your App Store, either Android or iPhone, or Apple, I should say. Download the app. It makes it a lot easier for you to not miss any of the shows as you get notification when streams starts. Also, we are live on X America News on X. Also on my channels on Rumble, 2 YouTube channels, Facebook, and Substack. I think that covers it. If I missed a platform, remind me. This is a live programming, so if you like to join the discussion, I will have an eye on the comment sections of all platforms. Bring in your questions, comments, agreement, disagreement. Just keep it clean. You don't even have to be nice. Just keep it clean. Otherwise, I will skip your comments. Last thing, of course, I encourage you to subscribe to my Substack, liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Monday and Tuesday, 2 very important pieces came out today. I don't think anyone has covered what I am covering today. And then also, well, rest of the week, I publish daily Substack, Monday through Friday. 1 a week is for paid subscribers, of course, which brings me to asking, become a paid subscriber if you can afford it. It's $8 a month or $80 a year. That dramatically helps me continue writing and doing my show daily and travel and do a speaking engagement and all of that. Also, Friday, well, technically tomorrow night at midnight Eastern Time, our Christmas sales will start. 30% off across my artist studio or artist store until a week after New Year's. So grab your Christmas decorations or Christmas gifts starting tomorrow night, midnight at lutfstudio.com. That is lutfstudio.com. Okay, that's all the call to actions I could think of for now. We'll come back to them later. Let's go ahead and bring on Barry Nussbaum, my dear friend, another freedom fighter and also founder of American Truth Project, a nonprofit organization. It is a nonprofit, so you may want to make a tax-deductible donation. A nonprofit organization working very hard to inform, especially Americans, of all the dangers we're facing, from national security to jihad and Islamization to why and how we should support Israel. How's it going, Barry?
It's great, and it's wonderful to be back with you, Annie. I missed you for a couple of weeks. I'm glad your travels went well, but it's good to be back.
Yes, I am. As I was traveling, actually, I was thinking, I'm like, great, the 1 week that we had to postpone our usual Wednesday, it's where, UN is happening and they're grabbing it by the horn and they're giving Palestine the country, and we can't get on air and talk about it, but that's all right. We'll talk about it today. I know we have a lot to discuss, like always, and I know we're going to run out of time, so I'm going to make my comments a little shorter and let you have more time. But I know yesterday on my show, as it was October 7th, I covered where my thoughts are on 2 years since the massacre of October 7th by Hamas and where we're at. So why don't you start there? Tell us where your head is at day after the second year since the massacre and where things are at.
Oh, that is such a tough question to answer in under 30 minutes, but I'll do my best.
You got 45.
Watching the world reaction yesterday was very disheartening. To put in perspective of what happened to Israel 2 years ago yesterday, when hordes, thousands of Gazans poured across the border, it wasn't to create, or I should say, correct misconceptions in the mass media. It wasn't just Hamas. It was citizenry, regular people from the streets that gladly joined the brigades of animalistic barbarians that went on a slaughter spree. They were so proud of what they did, unlike even the Nazis in World War II that wanted to keep the death camps a secret. These monsters GoPro'd live on the internet, streaming the brutality in southern Israel. We don't have to go into the graphic details of the men, women, children, old, young, pregnant women, the rapes, the beheadings, and so on. The horror story should have been condemned universally by the world, and it should still be condemned universally by the world. And yet, 2 years later, Annie, millions took to the streets in Europe and actually here in the States as well, demonstrating their support for not only the Palestinian cause, whatever that might be, but for Hamas as a terror group. It's as if the United States, after the brutality it suffered on 9/11, or even more, I would say, more of a surprise in terms of the magnitude that came after the Pearl Harbor bombing in 1941, that the Japanese celebrated it every year, and their descendants here in America were celebrating. It's a horror that the Japanese are ashamed of, and they offer condolences on December 7th. Can you imagine if there were demonstrations in the streets of America celebrating the victory on September 11th, 2001, by the disciples of Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda for the slaughter of Americans in New York and Washington and Pennsylvania? It's unfathomable to us, but that's what Israel's going through right now. The demonstrations around the world yesterday were not for the release of the 48 hostages still in the terror tunnels under Gaza, but it was for Hamas. There were demonstrations for Palestinian Islamic Jihad. There were demonstrations for radical groups that support the worldwide caliphate ideas of these crazed Muslims that think they're following the dictates of their prophet. The public opinion war is decidedly anti-Israel, in spite of the fact that in terms of proportional response to what happened 2 years ago yesterday, Israel has fought the most moral, responsive war in world history. Israel's in the position now of doing something that's never happened. They were invaded, they were slaughtered, they have fought back heroically, and they are feeding the enemy. They are feeding the enemy daily. They're providing food, water, power on a daily basis. They do something that has never happened in the history of warfare. They drop millions of leaflets before they bomb a building. They evacuate the civilian population before they invade looking for the terrorists. They announce on cell phone text. They announce on loudspeakers. This has never happened. And yet, no matter how moral the army is, the Jews are condemned for defending their country, for preventing more slaughter of their citizenry. Yesterday was a very solemn day, and when I look at the public opinion that has been orchestrated by the worldwide funding from, well, Qatar and other similar places, it's very discouraging.
It most certainly is. Yes, I actually started my show yesterday by saying I'm not going to be nice. Not that I'm ever nice, but today I'm definitely not going to be nice because but when I started watching very early morning from Europe, what was going on? The only video I played was the ceremony, the celebration that was taking place at London Bridge, with the smoke and the drums and the dancing. It was just heart-wrenching. Forget about the knowledge. I'll say for a second, let's say majority of people don't have the knowledge of Islam and Islamization and Sharia and what the manifesto of Hamas is. Even outside of that, for anyone to celebrate that day, and they can claim on my Substack yesterday, what I said, Barry, was nobody can claim they don't know what happened on October 7th. Now, many of them have the excuse of nothing justifies genocide. Okay, fine. That's a discussion for another segment. But everybody is aware exactly what happened that day. So if the poor children and women of Gaza are innocents being targeted, how come the innocent women, girls, and babies who were targeted on October 7th don't get to be mourned, but rather their death, their brutal rape and burning becomes a celebration? Again, my whole point yesterday wasn't even though it's hard for me not to have my passion for Israel and the Jewish people, but it wasn't even that. It was the absolute disappointment in existence of human society on values of satanic rituals. Like, forget about Gaza, forget about Palestine, Israel, Iran, forget about the location. Just the thought process has become so normalized to celebrate death. And we both know which satanic cult teaches that one. Right? So it's like, well, we're already handed over the throne. And I'm not talking about Christ's throne. I'm talking about the humanity throne. We have handed it over without even knowing that we just handed it over to the satanic cult known as Islam. We have 1 minute until ad break. So your thoughts on how I was feeling yesterday.
Well, I agree with you 100%. You know, the barbarism that was seen around the world, courtesy of the GoPro cameras and the live videos being broadcast, and I mean streamed during the slaughter, showed a depravity the world has not seen since World War II in the death camps. And it reminds me that in some places, specifically in Gaza, where that lack of civilization was dragged across the border on October 7th, it's as if we're back 1,500 years into the Dark Ages, and the perpetrators of this horrific crime against humanity, are reliving the previous barbarism of the Middle Ages. Islam, in many cases, like 2 years ago, hasn't progressed in terms of civilization. What you saw was so savage. It's as if 1,500 years of human progression had been wiped out, and we were back in the Dark Ages again. You know, I don't know how else to describe it, where it's still being celebrated. Annie, yesterday was a national holiday for the people that wanted to celebrate, and it's not just in Gaza, it's the Islamic culture being literally exported around the world. Like you said, London, Paris, Belgium, Spain, Italy, France, Greece,
Chicago, New York.
Yes, absolutely.
Portland. Yes.
They're marching to celebrate mass death. Who would have thought in 2025 that this would still be in existence and growing?
Yeah. Guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to take our first ad break, come back, continue the discussion, and possibly switch gears a little bit on the same topic, but in a different angle. We'll be right back. Well, hello, everybody. It's Annie
Annie Cyrus. Welcome to my art studio where all the magic happens. This is the station for painting, and that is the station for all the resin art I do. If you want to check out my art, all you gotta do is go to lutfstudio.com. But I'm sure, for at least I hope, I'll see you at lutfstudio.com.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. Johnny Boy, literally, that's your handle on YouTube. Clean up your act, or I will ban you on YouTube, flat out. Okay, that was your warning. lutfstudio.com, that's where you find my art. And as I said, by tomorrow, midnight Eastern Time, Thursday, our Christmas sales will start. And Stephen, appreciate the offer. I will definitely reach out to you. And yes, the necklace is also one of my own work. I have started doing necklaces and earrings and keychains recently, and this is one of those products. I will definitely reach out. I appreciate the generous offer. Okay, let's dive right back into the discussion with Barry, because I don't want to miss the most important topic, as I titled this video or this broadcast. So, Barry, if we would zoom in, like really zoom in, it's been a very long time, but I'm not going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom back a little. I'm just going to say since October 7, 2023, there has been a very calculated, I called it paid on the title of this show, and I'll have my reasons and I'll explain, but there's a very calculated movement of anti-Semitic narrative pushed out very hardcore by former conservative and self-proclaimed Christians out there, such as Candace Owen, such as Tucker Carlson, one of your favorites. I remember the time that you were a fan of Tucker, such as Alex Jones, such as Michael Yon, and on and on and on. I, short on the title of this, I said, this is a dangerous paid movement that is endangering more Jewish lives. What are your thoughts on this movement? I mean, do you even agree there's a movement?
In the case of Tucker Carlson, who, as you said, I used to be a big fan, and Candace Owens, who I was a big fan, yeah, they've gone to the dark side. I've done a number of shows on both of them in particular because they are the most popular, what we would call far right, and some people call them far Reich, R-E-I-C-H, as in the German Reich, who have literally led the way into anti-Semitism. When you look at Tucker Carlson, from the time he left Fox News suddenly with no warning, with no explanation given, and then resurfaced weeks later with Tucker Carlson Network, the money for the network came from someone with a radical Islamic background. And since that time, the $15 million he took from a Pakistani-Iranian funder of his network, he's been selling his time on the network to radicals like the Emir of Qatar. It was reported that the Emir of Qatar paid him $150,000 for a brief interview where Tucker just fawned all over him. And this is the guy that was
Don't forget the president of Iran. Recently, during the UN General Assembly, he did an interview with Pezeshkian.
Yeah, and I was going to say that the cutting edge investigative reporter Tucker Carlson is like a fanboy with these radicals. I mean, let's not forget, Qatar is the funder of Hamas. They are the home of Hamas. They direct lead and support them financially, spiritually, religiously, and the billionaire heads of Hamas live under the protection of the Emir of Qatar. So
Let me
when
stop
Tucker-
you for a second because this is a hot moment. It needs to have a second sentence attached to it. And let's not forget now, that very guy is also under direct protection of the United States of America because President Trump signed an executive order giving full protection to Qatar through negotiation, diplomacy, or military. We will protect Qatar, the very Qatar sovereignty that is protecting, housing, funding the heads of Hamas. So I just had to put, it was such a perfect timing, Barry.
And I'm so saddened by that news. I don't understand it. The largest air base of the American military is in Qatar, and the hostages could have been released in 15 minutes if Donald Trump had picked up the phone 2 years ago, Annie, and had said, the air base is moving to Saudi Arabia as fast as we can move the planes and the buildings and the support personnel. If you don't get the hostages out of the dungeons under Gaza, the Emir would have picked up the phone and called into Gaza and said, the hostages are coming out tomorrow. We will not lose this airbase. Now that was under Biden, so I didn't expect that to happen. But under Trump, it could have happened on his first day in office. Instead, get this. All of the countries are now in Egypt negotiating, renegotiating, and renegotiating the terms of the release of the hostages and the end of the war in Gaza under the auspices of Qatar.
And Turkey.
Absolutely. The head of military intelligence and their secret service from Turkey, who has chanted death to Israel, who is a NATO member, but hates America and hates the Jews in Israel and has talked about wiping out Israel. They are the leading sponsors of Hamas at this point, and they are the emissaries of peace negotiations in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. It's insane. And like you said, I can't explain it. Trump could have gotten the hostages out the day after inauguration by threatening to close the base and move it to Saudi Arabia, or Kuwait, would have taken the base in 15 seconds with gratitude that would have lasted a millennium. And instead, I don't understand it. Trump is kissing Tushy of the leading financial sponsor of terror in the world. Now, Iran trains everybody. Iran sends the missionaries out. Iran gets the weapons. But the chief benefactor financially is Qatar. And we got started on this rant by you asking me about Tucker Carlson,
Yes.
right?
I just realized I
Carlson.
derailed the Tucker Carlson, but jumping in, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it's so true. It's all connected. Qatar is paying Tucker Carlson. He knows where the money's coming from. And, to answer your brief question on Candace Owens, we used to be in communication, she and I. I was a big fan. And then she got married, and her husband is a radical, I hate Israel, believer in a bizarre religion that does not grant the Jews equality in the world. And so Candace has come along with that same philosophy. It's so bad in that family that George Farmer, her husband, his own father, that's a lord in the English monarchy, has disavowed his son and his daughter-in-law's positions, meaning Candace, you can read it online. He's horrified by their positions, especially what she says every day. And he has openly disavowed it, saying the best man at my wedding was Jewish. My best friend is Jewish. I'm a big supporter of Israel. I disavow what they're saying. This is the father-in-law of Candace Owens. And I can tell you that as I read every day, and I've published many videos on the wacky stuff that she comes out with, people are calling her kooky Candace because every day she's got another theory. crazier than the one before. Her post last night. Charlie Kirk is now
yeah,
coming
Charlie's
to me in my
coming to her in
dreams
dreams.
and telling me that he's going to reveal who his assassin was, and I'm going to learn about it when I go to sleep at night, and I will report to you. She is getting wackier by the day, and her chief enemy is the state of Israel. And her second enemy is all the rest of the Jews in the world, which are behind everything, including, insanely, the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. They've run the United States government since the 1960s. I mean, the Israelis, the country that's about this big, with less people that live in New York City, according to her. I mean, she's a wackadoodle. And there are other people on the right that are as nutty as she is. And Tucker has become one of them. And if you look at the video that's out online where Tucker now defends Sharia, and he says submission is a good idea, and he says it openly, and you realize, and you as a scholar, I'm not talking to you because you can report this in its own language. I'm talking about to your audience. If you realize what Sharia is and the subjugation of the world that would entail an implication of that religion around the world, and Tucker Carlson is saying submission to God is so great. Ha, 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 ha. I don't know why people dislike it. He's lost his mind. He's literally lost his mind. And it really amazes me when you read the comments to his videos where these Muslims come on and say, just say the Shahada and you're one of us. The one prayer that causes you to be converted in the eyes of Islam. They think he's like this close to leaving whatever Christian philosophy is left in his soul to become one of them. And if somebody writes a big enough check, I bet you he's there.
On a private conversation, I told you, I said, if you ask me, I think he already said the Shahada to get the bigger check coming from Pakistan, Qatar, and Iran. But here's the thing, what he doesn't understand, genuinely, I believe he does not understand, when he says submission to God is the whole purpose of faith, he doesn't understand. In Islam, you don't submit to God, you're submitting to Allah, aka you're submitting to Satan. He will come to learn that. Wait for it. He will come, so will Candace. Candace can give platform and hours of interview to her buddy Tate brothers, who are literally, and Andrew Tate literally said, I became a Muslim because it allows me to do the grooming and trafficking I do. So Tate knows what he's doing. Candace will soon realize what she's doing too. However, as we come to the end of this segment, bottom line is, I understand there's a lot of talking heads out there with huge audience pushing this propaganda and normalizing anti-Semitism and a straightforward hatred for Israel and accusations. I really hope Bibi Netanyahu, go ahead and does what Macron did, suing Candace Owen for all the accusations towards his wife. That was the case. But I really think Netanyahu should take some sort of legal action against Alex Jones, Mike Adams, whatever his name is, forgot, Candace Owen, the rest of them, just to show them that there are accountabilities. Yes, you have the freedom of journalism, so do I, but there's a line when your accusations cross the line, then you have to be held accountable. Guys, apparently I'm tripping over all of my accusational sentences. Let's go take an ad break so I can drink some water and then talk more properly. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Would you like to gain access to over 20 years of my radio shows, TV shows, my books? I've written 15 books, and most of those books are ebooks now. And we have conference DVDs, conferences where we filmed our conferences at the Ozarks, literally starting 20 years ago. It's all available in our archived vault. All you have to do is go to worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and for a reasonable monthly fee, you gain access to over 20 years of Christian worldview programming, news, information, books, documentaries, and a powerful search engine. And folks, it's a great way not only to educate yourself, equip yourself, but it's a big way that you can help fund our continuation as a broadcast network. Please check it out. worldviewtube.com/vault, worldviewtube.com/vault, and help us continue pushing out a Christian worldview.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now. I think I got the accusations under control. Now I can talk a little better. Guys, those of you who are watching us on Worldview YouTube, you already know. If you're watching us on a different platform, one of the main reasons I still have a voice with a big audience is because of Worldview YouTube. As you know, I've been removed from most platforms. I've been removed from all networks. I used to be on many other networks, but Brian House is still allowing me to sit here and talk to you 3 days a week, and he has me on his show very regularly, almost 3 times a week probably. So whenever we take an ad break outside of my artist studio, please don't override it. If you see a product or an offer that is needed, go ahead and take it from Worldview YouTube. So the more you support the network, the more my existence on a bigger platform will be. So worldviewtube.com is where you can sign up for the vault. You can get access to their store where they have plenty of products that are going to be needed for your household, and check them out, support them, and get the app, Worldview YouTube app on your app store. Okay, so before we took our ad break, Barry, I was saying that I feel like Netanyahu should take some legal actions. And I understand, I mean, Netanyahu Bibi was dragged into International Criminal Court after October 7th. Like, when you look at how twisted that is on its own, it says a lot about where we're at. And I'm pretty sure one of the reasons he's not doing it is because he's pretty sure no court in this world is going to rule for him, but against him. But it's the principle. I feel like he's being too soft in front of these talking heads who are throwing ridiculous accusations towards Israel, its government, IDF, the military. What do you think?
There's a couple of answers. First of all, most people don't realize that the United States and Israel are not parties to the International Criminal Court. And it's not a court. It's sort of an organization that attempts to enforce their liberal, woke theology on the world. In spite of that, you've got crazy people like Mamdani, who very well might be the next mayor of New York, who says if Bibi comes to New York, he'll arrest them, which would start a firefight literally between the Secret Service, Bibi's protection detail, and whoever Mamdani would send to try and arrest him under a non-enforceable order for his arrest coming out of this goofball organization that the United States is now pushing hard against, courtesy of President Trump. In regards to what you said about lawsuits vis-a-vis the slanderous, libelous communications coming out of this fringe right that, you know, also includes people like Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones, I think you mentioned, and others. I don't see the value in that. I think giving these people more attention than they already have is not a worthy project. I actually see the backlash growing the more outlandish the statements are. Like you said, Tucker Carlson saying Islam is a good thing and he doesn't see how bad it is anymore. Christians and Jews know the difference, and people who are educated know the difference. Candace Owens gets crazier by the week in the things she says, and her audience is enormous. Sometimes people just tune in to see what the hell comes out of her mouth. And the other fringe people on the right that are openly anti-Semitic, their audiences are already there. I don't think it's advancing the cause. I actually do believe that once this war is settled with, you know, while I'm listening to you, I'm looking at the bulletins coming out of Egypt. Every 20 minutes, Hamas changes their mind and is renegotiating their what basically amounts to a surrender and a release of the hostages. God willing, in the next couple of days, with Trump's pressure being strong enough, it'll happen. Having said that, once that war is over, I think the pressure on Israel will subside. And at the same time, if France has new elections, the right will win and kick out the maniacs, at least a lot of them. If Great Britain's government falls, the right will win there and kick out the maniacs. It's already started in Sweden. The safest countries in Europe now are the ones without open borders. I'm specifically referring to Hungary and Poland. Women can walk down the street at 2 o'clock in the morning, don't have to worried about being attacked by Muslim rape gangs. You can't go out at noon in London or Paris or Belgium or Rome or Madrid without taking your life in your hands. There's going to be the pendulum swinging back when people realize they've lost their countries, and they will become patriotic again, like the Tommy Robinson March in London, which was a few weeks ago. Hundreds of thousands of people turned out, got arrested for waving their own flags. They get arrested for questioning the Quran, but Muslims can condemn spirituality or Christianity or Judaism, and that's considered free speech. I think the time is coming close where the pendulum starts to move back. If you look at President Trump's numbers in this country, support for people that are America first, those numbers are growing. The liberal Democrat policies that have encouraged this kind of insanity in the streets, whether it's Antifa in Portland or Black Lives Matter in Minneapolis, there's a lot of resentment out there about that, and it is growing. You shut the colleges down, you cut the money off enough, you evict enough illegals from the country, and you make it clear you either act and support America in a way that you're supposed to, or you go to a country that will take you. And ironically, and this is the great irony, the Muslim Brotherhood is banned in the Middle East by Muslim countries, but it's legal in France, and it's legal in Great Britain, and it's legal in Spain. And
it's legal in America.
I was going to say, and their offshoots in Minneapolis are doing great, courtesy of all the Somali Muslims that are now announcing their calls to prayer in Michigan and Minneapolis, Minnesota, at 5 o'clock in the morning. And people go before the city council and say, why do I have to listen to this? I'm being woken up. The laws are not like being enforced anymore. We are experiencing, as you know better than anybody, jihad by immigration. And thank goodness we have Donald Trump to reverse that. And a good team around him with Tom Homan and Kristi Noem and people like that. I think the pendulum is swinging back. At least that's what I'm praying for.
Well, as delightful as what you just described is, and I wish I was as optimistic as you are, I will have to disagree with you few points. One, if number of America First supporters of President Trump are growing, then they're paying no attention. What America First? He's been busy building Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Gaza. What are we talking about? There is no America First. If there was America First, he would have done what he did in his first term. Shut the border, put a Muslim ban, stop negotiating with any of these states that are sponsoring jihad. Then I would have maybe believed that he's doing anything for America First. As far as the end of the war, as you said, Trump has proposed 20 points. All of them, if you ask me, every single one of them, ridiculous, useless, pointless. However, Hamas has agreed to one, and that one, as you said, they're changing their mind every 20 minutes. So even if they come to agreement, if they do release the 47 hostages, that we still don't know how many of the 47 are alive, how many are corpse. We don't even know that yet. And in return, they receive their 15 dead Palestinian for every single dead Israeli, and 1,700 prisoners in return of 47. That is not a war done or over or a win. Based on the numbers I just said, that's absolutely Trump and Bibi bowing to Hamas again. Secondly, Barry, you know better than me, the Gaza war will not be over. It will not be over unless the Islam funding is cut. Are we cutting the funding to Islam? No. Didn't the United States of America just release $230 million to Lebanon to disarm Hezbollah? We both know that money is going to Hezbollah, not to disarm Hezbollah. So, as I said, what you described is very delightful. It's very optimistic. However, I don't see it happening. It will be another temporary, Trump has stopped a war like he did with the 12 days and never started war in India, Pakistan, but he stopped it. He will take the credit, couple of days, IDF takes a deep breath, and then next one comes in. Listen, Trump was you said, thankfully Trump's pressure is high. What pressure? If it would be blunt, didn't Trump start with, if both sides agrees, then immediately ceasefire? Wasn't that the point? But then he made Bibi go for ceasefire before they even had an answer from Hamas. That's not pressure. That's bending. He already bended his very first item of 20, saying, okay, fine. Bibi, pull your people, ceasefire, don't drop bombs, while Hamas make a decision. And what happened during that time? Yesterday, 12 Houthi missiles hit Israel. Sorry, I'm not trying to be the Debbie Downer, but I don't see what you're describing.
Well, a couple things. First of all, none of the Houthi missiles actually landed in Israel. Thank God. They were shot down.
Yes. I should say fired at Israel. Sorry.
So we're very grateful about that. I want to make a comment that I hope is not too insulting. I think tomorrow will be, the next couple of days will be very defining. Trump makes no secret he is running for, which I've never heard of this before in history, but then again, it's Donald Trump. He is running for the Nobel Peace Prize.
He's not going to get it.
When that is announced in the next couple of days, and that enthusiasm that he has, everyone says I should get the Nobel Peace Prize, and I think I'll get it, blah, blah, blah. When that discussion ends, the Nobel Committee has announced a number of rewards. I think the Peace Prize will be announced on Friday. And that's behind us. I'm hoping that's a spur back to reality for our president. The 21 points that became 20 points, and they're now arguing about details of God knows what. I'm getting updates like crazy coming from Israeli press right now. I'm reading it. Hamas is renegotiating everything, and I mean everything. What Trump announced with his very, very excited press conference, and Saudi Arabia signed off on it, and Egypt has signed off on it, and
even Turkey signed off on it.
Yeah, Turkey was behind it. God knows what Trump has promised everybody behind the scenes, including Qatar. I think the incentive to Qatar was, we will have a mutual defense treaty. Anyone attacks you, we will attack them, which is outlandish. I've never heard of such a thing. But I think that's part of his deal making. I'm going to bribe everybody to sign on to this deal, when the only people that mattered, Annie, was Hamas, and they've never said yes to anything. Remember, they're negotiating from an Islamic point of view, which means, as you can well teach your audience, they'll say anything, they will agree to anything. Nothing is binding on them because the contracts are between Islamic followers and the non-believers, which is obviously Israel and obviously the United States. The only way there will be a permanent peace is the complete elimination of all of Hamas and their eviction out of Gaza, the complete disarming of the territory, and the surrender of all weapons. It's in the 20 points. It's in here. But as of this morning, Hamas refuses to disarm. They refuse to leave the territory, and they refuse to not be involved in the future of Gaza. So I don't know what's going on.
They also, as of 10 minutes ago, update I have here says they refuse to conclude on the section of releasing hostages until Every single soldier of Israeli military is out of Gaza.
That will never
They
happen.
added that.
I know.
And that's my point. That's why I
It will
said it
never
sounds
happen.
delightful. But from moment of 21 points, I was on Brannan's show, and he's like, "What do you think is going to happen?" I said, "It's not going to happen. There's 21 point, 20 point, 5 point, 1 point. It's just not going to happen." Guys, we got to take our last ad break. Don't go anywhere because we're going to conclude on this. We're not going to just leave it here. We're going to take our last ad break, and we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com.
Welcome back to Live Up to Freedom. Thank you so much for staying with us until now, if you did stay until now. And I am saying your comments. I do apologize. Normally when I have Barry on, we have so much to say and go back and forth that I miss all your comments, but I do see them and I appreciate you engaging in the conversation. Okay, concluding on what we were saying, Barry, first of all, I'm so glad you said what you said, because I want to remind, at least I want our audience right now, those of you who just watched the last few minutes of last segment, remember, do not twist this. Comes Friday, Trump is not nominated. Trump does not get the Nobel Prize. Next week, Trump tells Bibi to go back and finish Iran and goes finish Houthis and Hamas. Don't sit there and be like, we MAGA, Trump brave. No, it's just he didn't get what he wanted. Now he's a child who's throwing punches. That is what you need to remember, because then I have to come on air and remind you. I know it's fashion to say Trump knows what he's doing, but he doesn't. If he doesn't get what he wants, he will throw punches. So if he goes after Hamas or Iran or any of them, it isn't out of his bravery, understanding of jihad, nor is his care for America and Americans. Okay, what do you say? You see, you were worried about being offensive, Barry. Welcome to my show.
Al Jazeera has just announced, that's the network out of Qatar that is the mouthpiece for radical Islam around the world, said Hamas has now agreed in Egypt to release the living hostages once a deal is made. At least that's what they said 30 seconds ago. That's also what was said last week and the week before. This is not breaking news. This is
wasn't this what was said the very first time after October 7, 2023? That was about 2 months or so into it, like mid-December of 2023?
And they've been saying this all along. And so I think what's happening is the negotiations are being stretched out as long as possible in the hopes of getting one more thing out of the West, specifically the negotiators. Trump's son-in-law is there and Steve Witkoff is there, and they are negotiating on behalf of the United States for Israel. The fact of the matter is, this war could have ended October 8th or 9th, 2023, just release the hostages. Israel would have pulled out. What has happened instead is the bargaining chip of the hostages, alive and dead, has forced Israel to stay there and wipe out Hamas. Hamas cannot and will not be allowed to stay in Gaza, or the government of Israel will fall. It's a parliamentary system. Bibi will lose the coalition of the right wing that is ferociously defending Israel, both politically and through their support of the military. Bibi, being a political animal, this is how he has survived as prime minister longer than anybody in the history of Israel. Look, I've spent 4 hours with Bibi. I I know him, at least from the past, quite well. We've had very, very lengthy discussions, he and I. He's a brilliant man, and politically, there's nobody better. But he understands if this war concludes badly for Israel, his time as prime minister is over. The government will fall. There'll be a new coalition. I don't know who it will be. Israeli politics are like a street fight between rival gangs with a little less bloodshed, but they're rough. And Israel will not allow Hamas to stay. The government will not allow Hamas to stay. And as of right now, from what I'm reading, they haven't agreed even that the Hamas fighters will give their weapons up. They have not agreed. They have not agreed, Hamas, I mean, to leave the Gaza Strip. And they have not agreed not to participate in the day after, as they say. And that matters a lot, because the rebuilding of Gaza, which according to Trump, he's got the money lined up from the wealthy countries of the world, including the United States. I don't know why. The last part, I mean. Specifically, who's going to run the place matters more than anything. I mean, think about this. There are billions and billions of dollars that have been stolen by the leaders of Hamas to live a wonderful life around the world. And the rest of the money that they didn't steal, instead of building schools and hospitals and farms and technology and factories, they built the world's largest terror tunnel underground in the history of civilization, and smuggled in to the open air prison that everybody calls it, an amount of weaponry the likes of which that part of the world has never seen. To dismantle that entirely is the Israeli and United States, at least verbal proclamation that must happen. It's the minimum requirement after the cessation of violence and the release of all the hostages. What I'm reading right now online on Al Jazeera and reported by Jerusalem Post is that Hamas has now said the hostages will all come out, the living ones, as soon as the deal is signed, and then the exchange of prisoners will take place. And by the way, we haven't mentioned that Hamas is demanding murderers and terrorists who blew up buses, who stabbed Israelis in train stations, who blew up restaurants. They want those people released.
And Trump has signed off on it.
Listen to this. This is even crazier. The people that led the invasion on October 7th, 2023, who slaughtered men, women, and children, and who happened to be captured, wounded, rehabbed in Israeli hospitals, who are now in Israeli jails, Hamas wants them back as heroes.
Wait, I'm sorry. 1 second. You think that's the worst part? You do realize one of the items is any Hamas member who agrees to the deal will be given amnesty. I think that's worse.
Can you imagine if that happened after World War II? And the Nazis said, and you know what? This is a perfect analogy. In the ending days of World War II, after Hitler was dead, the commanding generals went to the Allied forces and wanted to negotiate a surrender. And they asked for amnesty. They asked for free passage. You know what the Americans said? Unconditional surrender, or we kill all of you.
Yep.
And the Germans said, oh, we can't do that.
Didn't Trump repeat the unconditional surrender to few times with Iran, with Hamas, with Houthis? He learned this saying, but I don't think he understands what it actually means. And I did know it. Unfortunately and sadly, we are at the end of our show today. So why don't you conclude on everything we talked about, because I think it was a lot of information. Let's say within a minute or so, conclude, and also tell my audience again where they go to support you, get your information, watch your reporting, and all that good stuff.
Oh boy. Okay, we'll try and make it as quick as we can. Go to findbarry.com. Findbarry.com takes you to American Truth Project, where you can sign up to get all of our content. It's always free. You'll get a lot of good stuff, like every time I'm on with Annie, all packaged up for you. Back to the subject of what we were discussing, I think after the Nobel Peace Prize is announced and Trump stops running for I know this sounds silly, but that's what he's doing, stops running for his own candidacy, there should be a calming down and a return to reality. As you just pointed out, Trump has given ultimatum after ultimatum, and he's becoming a paper tiger. He has said, and I'm going to quote him, all hell will break loose. He's got Marco Rubio saying the same thing, and supposedly the American negotiations behind the scenes are expressing that same thing. I don't think anybody believes it at all anymore, because unlike what Trump did with the B-2s bombing the nuclear sites in Iran, where he actually carried through on his threat, here in this case, he will not put boots on the ground, and American bombers are not going anywhere near Gaza. So the fact of the matter is, Israel is fighting this war by themselves. They're being pushed into a corner by the negotiations, and I'm just praying that the various Muslim states in the Middle East can offer something to Hamas to get them out of Gaza, get them out, leave the weapons behind, get the hostages out, and maybe there's enough resentment now against Hamas by the ordinary Gazan citizens to say, okay, war with Israel didn't work. Our entire country, such as it was, remember, Israel pulled out in 2005. It's been a country on its own for 20 years, and they made a mess. They're going to have another chance at it, only now billions of dollars are going to flow in. I don't mean flotilla dollars, which that was a joke. I'm talking about specifically big money to rebuild the place. It's sort of like was said
I'm
after the
so sorry, Barry, to cut you off. We literally have 40 seconds to go, but I pray with you. However, realistically, I highly doubt it. Findbarry.com. That's find, F-I-N-D, Barry, B-A-R-R-Y. Findbarry.com is where you get to support Barry. Barry, we'll see you in 2 weeks unless something major breaks. Then you come earlier.
All good. I look forward to coming back again. Sorry we ran out of time. There's just so much to talk about.
We always run out of time, but that's all right. We'll do it again. Okay, thank you guys for staying with us until now. We are out of time. liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. I will not be here tomorrow and Friday, but I will be back next Monday unless something major or major breaking news or war starts. I will see you back here Monday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Central on all channels. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and remember, lutfstudio.com. Christmas sales will start tomorrow night at midnight. I do need your support. You get your Christmas shopping done. That way you support me so I can continue pushing forward and, Lord willing, keep working on that book that I think it's very needed for this time. Be safe. Pay attention. Don't believe everything you hear. Do your own research. Goodbye.
You are watching Worldview 2, built on the 35 years of Worldview books, documentaries, research, high-profile interviews, and the radio and television